Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Professor Joe Norton. I had the great pleasure in 1999 to about 2001 to be the Vice Chancellor's Distinguished Visiting Professor in the law faculty with the specific assignment to explore opportunities to develop the faculty in the area of financial services. This area had already been identified by the faculty as one of its 6 areas of emphasis at the time, and it's quite obvious that Hong Kong was then, and it's even more so now, a major financial center, not just regionally, but internationally. It had a system, and still does, based upon the common law. And it had financial regulators that were really international class individuals of high integrity, and Hong Kong, as was Singapore, noted for non-corruption in its governmental activities. So this was an ideal spot for me to come in. Also, there were a number of very seasoned people on the faculty who, though they weren't in the financial law area, provided considerable support. In particular, Dean Albert Chen at the time contacted me to see if I would take on this assignment. Subsequently, Dean Chan was very supportive of the activities, and there were a number of other senior faculty. Charlie Booth, who went off later to be in Hawaii, I believe was head of the department, and he was very, very supportive. Rick Golofshevsky, the late Philip Smart, who was a very brilliant guy who died very tragically and suddenly. But there was a whole base of support there to pursue and to explore what would be appropriate for the faculty. One thing that was important is that it had to be based in the faculty and tied into the faculty. At the same time, it needed an outreach into the local community, into other institutions in Hong Kong and in the mainland China and globally. And I think what you'll see when you look at the various annual reports over the last 20 years, that a very significant international network of collaborators have been put together. But it's not just these distinguished advisors and collaborators, but what developed within the faculty were very serious researchers. And I was fortunate to be able to bring with me, when I came to Hong Kong in 1999, one of my PhD students, who was also a JD student of mine at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Douglas Honor. And it really is to Douglas's credit of taking this institution of AIIFL forward in a very, I would say, I don't want to exaggerate, but a very spectacular way. And enormous credit needs to be given to Douglas on this and his various other collaborators. One of the problems with academics is they tend to stay in their own little areas and not collaborate. Douglas was a collaborator, and he believed in interdisciplinary research, and he believed in collaborative research and collaborative publishing. We were able to set up a book series in the international financial law area with Kluwer International Law Publishers. We were able to connect it to various law journals for publication, et cetera. And we began to raise a little bit of money on that. So the emphasis was to develop certainly a leading research center in the Southeast Asia area. But I would say and suggest to you that on an international basis today, I really know of, on an objective basis, nothing more comparable or closely comparable to AIIFL as to what it has done in the international financial law area. Financial markets have changed rapidly, financial instruments have changed rapidly, and what is very impressive, what Douglas and his colleagues have done is to stay on the cutting edge of technology, innovation in the area, crises in the area, and at the same time to keep law as a foundational basis for the study. So it's not just turned over to the statisticians and the algorithm engineers, that law has to be built into this as an integral part as we move forward with our financial system and to ensure safety and soundness within the system and financial stability. It was a great honor and pleasure for me to be able to come to Hong Kong to get the project rolling. And here, it wasn't just me. Professor Segu was very influential. And there was a young person at the time, Wan Chu Zhang, from the mainland, and he also had studied at the University of Indiana, that I consulted with, not consulted, but just chatted with and learned a lot from him in his encouragement as to the feasibility of linking up AIIFL with the mainland and the global environment. And I think it's very important. I know it's turbulent times in Hong Kong at the moment, and I know rule of law is important and it is paramount. I think that there's no two greater representatives of rule of law than the two former deans and the current dean. I was reading his preface on the website, the essential importance of the rule of law. Well, in the financial area, the rule of law is critical if you're going to have any transparency, any fairness, any accountability. And that's why it's important that I think AIIFL needs to stay the course and not get discouraged, that there is a role, continuing role, and a greater role, I think, for AIIFL in that respect. Since I left Hong Kong nearly 20 years ago, Hong Kong has grown probably 20 times in terms of the financial activity. You know, you might get a bit discouraged, but it has. Your faculty has grown. You have a new building. Your prestige has grown. Your visitors, international visitors, have increased. But the key is the students, is to involve the students. And with that, we also tied it into the development of an LLM program in the corporate and financial area. And Douglas and Segu were responsible for helping to develop that. So some of the characteristics of the Center for Commercial Law Studies, where I was at in London, we've taken and adapted to Hong Kong, but Hong Kong is a special place. Your faculty is a special faculty. And the challenges are very, very special. There's always the thought of the competition, not just with Singapore and Tokyo, but with the development of, say, Shenzhen, which when I was there was just developing. Now that is becoming a financial center. Will that subsume Hong Kong? That's a challenge. But even if it does, I think AIIFL and Hong Kong has a dominant role to play in shaping whatever comes about in that respect. Is Hong Kong different than Shanghai? Of course it is. Shanghai is a major financial center now also, but Hong Kong is holding its own. I think the latest rankings this year is Hong Kong is still the number 3 global financial center. So the challenges are great, but I think the foundation has been laid because it's been tied into the law faculty, and it has been tied into groups of very good legal researchers. The work product in terms of study papers and reports that have been produced is simply amazing. I was going through, and here I have to give significant compliments to Flora Long. And if when you see her, please give her my very best wishes. We hired Laura in 2001 on a 2-year contract, and she is still with us. And as I see the development of the website and the organization and structure, she is really a key to the keeping the institute together. Douglas Honor has developed on his own. He has distinguished himself as one of the premier international financial lawyers in the world, far surpassing what I had done. But that's great. That's the great thing for any professor, is that your students do well and advance what you had intended. When I look back over my 50 years in the academy, AIIFL is the crowning jewel for me in what I think has added something to the table. A lot of visitors, when they visit, I know at my school in London, they come for a year, they want to have a good time and they want to have good meals, et cetera, and to be entertained, et cetera. But not that many add something to the institution. With all humility, I think that AIIFL has added a considerable degree of value to the institution, to the faculty, and to the university. So I am very proud to have been associated at the beginnings with it, and I follow it diligently with the annual reports and being on the advisory board. So I really appreciate this opportunity to say a few words about my experience, which was very nice. Good entertainment, good food, good boat rides, etc. On that, but really working with the young faculty at the time and seeing how and integrating with the governmental officials and the banking executives and the law firm partners at that time in Hong Kong really showed that a community of people of common interest could be brought together. And this is something that Douglas really excels on in terms of a collaborative approach. And that, I think, needs to be continued. So thank you very much. And it's evening here in Dallas, not that late, about 10 o'clock. I know it's morning there, but I do appreciate this opportunity to say a few words about my initial experience. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So thank you very much, and God bless all of you. And I know the faculty has a continuing bright future, not only as a Chinese university, but as an international class university and law faculty. Thank you.